Hey, I know you're tired, not just the kind of tired that sleep fixes, but the kind of tired that feels like it's settled in your bones, the kind that makes every little thing feel heavy, even breathing, even smiling, even trying. And you're wondering, why am I like this? Why can't I just be normal again? Why does everything feel so hard? Let me tell you something no one else will. You're not lazy, you're not broken, you're not crazy. You're overcapacitated in a world that never asked how full your hands already were. You've been carrying more than most people see, for longer than most people know. And you've done it quietly, because that's what strong people do, right? You wake up every day and you show up, even when you're hurting, even when you're disconnected, even when your inner world is screaming for a break. And maybe no one applauds that, but I see it. I see you. You're tired because life has asked so much of you, and you didn't say no. Because you didn't think you could, because people needed you, because quitting felt like failing, because the world taught you to equate your worth with your usefulness. But here's a radical truth. You don't have to earn your right to rest. Rest isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to not be okay. You are allowed to exist, even when you're not producing or performing. So, if today all you did was survive, that's enough. If all you managed was brushing your teeth or getting out of bed, that's enough. If your to-do list is untouched but you held yourself together through tears, that's enough. There is no medal for running yourself into the ground. There's no trophy for suffering in silence. There's no honor in pretending you're fine when you're falling apart inside. Let that go. Let go of the version of you that never gets tired. She's not real. Let go of the guilt that creeps in when you cancel plans. You're not a disappointment. You're human. Let go of the pressure to smile through it. You don't have to mask exhaustion with politeness. Let go of the narrative that rest is weak. It's the strongest thing you can choose when the world is begging you to push harder. Breathe. Seriously? Inhale deep, exhale slow, do it again and again. Let your body catch up to your soul. Let the ache rise. Let it say what it needs to say. This moment isn't about fixing anything. It's about making space for all of it. The burnout, the fear, the doubt, the numbness. Nothing needs to be edited here. Maybe you're in a season where you're pouring from an empty cup, and you're mad at yourself for not being more. But maybe you're not supposed to be more right now. Maybe this season is about learning how to sit in the mess without running from it, how to hold your own hand when it shakes, how to honor your pace instead of hating it. Because here's the truth, healing isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like staying in bed. Sometimes it sounds like, I can't today. Sometimes it feels like not knowing what comes next, and still waking up anyway. You don't have to be on all the time. You don't have to explain why you're tired. You don't have to carry shame for being human. You just have to be, right here, right now, exactly as you are. And maybe no one has said this to you lately, so let me be the one who does. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to fall apart. You are allowed to not have it all figured out. You are allowed to take your time. This isn't the end of you. This is a pause. This isn't weakness. It's integration. This isn't failure. It's refueling. Even the strongest hearts need shelter. Even the fiercest souls need stillness. Even the bravest warriors need a safe place to fall. So let this be that place, right here, in these words, in this breath, in this quiet surrender. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too much or not enough. You are becoming, one breath at a time, one moment of grace at a time, one small act of self-kindness at a time. So, if you're tired, don't give up. Give in, to rest, to gentleness, to the permission to be exactly where you are. You'll rise again, but this time, not on empty. This time, you'll rise restored. I know you're close to quitting, and I'm not judging you. Honestly, I get it. You've been fighting so hard for something that doesn't seem to be fighting back. You've been showing up even when no one's clapping, giving your best and watching it fall flat, trying and trying. But everything feels stuck. And here's the part that hurts the most. It's not that you can't handle hard things. You have. You've made it through storms that should have broken you. You've survived days that tried to swallow you whole. But this is different. Because now you're asking, what's the point? And that question isn't weak, it's human. You've been running on fumes. Dreams used to fuel you. Now they just weigh on you. You used to wake up with fire. Now you wake up with fog. You used to believe, now you just try to function. And maybe no one sees that, but I do. So, let me tell you this. You're not weak for feeling tired. You're not dramatic for needing a break. You're not a failure for questioning the path. You're someone who's been strong for too long. Someone who's poured out for everyone else and left very little for yourself. Someone who's still standing. Even when it feels easier to collapse. That, right there, is strength. But here's what I really want to say. If something inside you is still whispering, still nudging, still quietly saying, "Not yet," listen to it. Even if it's just a flicker, even if it's buried beneath exhaustion, even if it doesn't make logical sense. That small voice, that's the part of you that still believes there's more ahead than what's behind. You don't need a miracle today. You just need one more breath, one more step, one more act of courage. Not loud courage, not movie scene courage. Just quiet, ordinary, unseen bravery. The kind that says, "I'll try again tomorrow." You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to pause. You're allowed to say, "I can't keep doing it this way." And you're also allowed to keep going in a new way, a softer way, a more sustainable way, one that doesn't destroy you in the process. You were never meant to chase dreams that break your spirit. You were never meant to hustle until you forget who you are. You were never meant to grind until joy disappears. Success that costs your soul isn't success, it's sacrifice. So, maybe don't quit the dream, quit the pressure, quit the noise, quit the version of the dream that doesn't fit anymore. Because maybe what's calling you isn't the goal, it's the growth. And growth rarely looks perfect. It looks like confusion, like crying in your car, like doubting yourself at midnight, like rebuilding again and again. But it's still growth, even when it's messy, even when it's non-linear, even when it feels like you're going in circles. You're not. You're spiraling upward, even if the scenery looks familiar. You've come too far to only come this far. That's not just a quote, that's your truth. You've paid in sweat, tears, silence, and survival. And if you're still here, still breathing, still listening, then part of you still wants to see how this story ends. Don't rob yourself of that. Because here's what no one tells you. Sometimes, the moment right after you almost gave up is the one that breaks everything open. Not because magic happens, but because you didn't quit. You hung on one more hour. You took one more step. You held space for possibility even when it felt pointless. And that's enough. You don't have to know the whole path. You just have to take the next kind step. For yourself. For your future. For the version of you who's been waiting for you to believe again. So, if today all you can do is not give up, that's everything. That's heroic. That's more than enough. You followed the rules. You did everything they said. You worked hard. Stayed consistent. Kept showing up. Played fair. Did the inner work. Told yourself to be patient. And still, nothing's clicking. Nothing's moving. Nothing's working. And you're tired. Not from laziness, but from trying so hard for so long with so little return. You're starting to wonder, am I cursed? Is something wrong with me? Did I misread my path? Is this all there is? And no one really talks about this part. The space between effort and outcome, between planting and harvest, between sowing seeds and actually seeing growth. It's the most dangerous place, because it's where hope dies quietly, not from failure, but from silence. So, let me speak into that silence. Just because nothing is working yet, doesn't mean you're not working. Read that again. You are becoming, in ways you can't see right now. And I know that's hard to hear when the bills are piling up, when you're watching others succeed, when your inner critic is louder than ever. But listen to me. This is not punishment. This is not rejection. This is not proof you're on the wrong path. This is a recalibration, a painful one, a confusing one, but a necessary one. Sometimes the universe delays your progress because it's protecting your purpose, not to hurt you, but to refine you, to shape the version of you who can handle what's next. Because anyone can succeed fast, but not everyone can hold success without it breaking them. You're being strengthened, stretched, rooted, not just rewarded. Think about it. Trees grow roots before branches. Babies crawl before they walk. Storms come before clarity. So, if your life feels like a holding pattern, maybe it's not a dead end. Maybe it's a rooting season. A chance to build depth before height. I know the waiting feels like wasting, but it's not. It's preparing, aligning, sharpening. You are not lost, you are being readied. And sometimes the reason nothing's working is because the version of success you're chasing is too small for who you're becoming. Let that sink in. You're not failing, you're outgrowing. And growth often feels like breaking before it looks like breakthrough. So, pause, breathe, stop measuring progress by what's visible. Start trusting what's becoming. This is the secret most never learn. The deeper the root, the stronger the rise. And you, my friend, you are not done. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are being carved into someone unshakable. You don't need to pivot. You need to persevere, but persevere differently. Not by pushing harder, but by trusting softer. You don't need another strategy. You need a deeper surrender. Not to quit, but to release the grip on the timeline, the outcome, the way it's supposed to go, because what's meant for you will not pass you, and your path, it may be winding, but it's still yours. So, don't let the silence convince you it's over. Sometimes the most important transformations happen in the quiet, behind closed doors, off the timeline, outside the spotlight. That's where real power is forged, and when you rise, not if, when, it will be real, it will be earned, it will be rooted. So, keep going, not for applause, not for approval, but because you made a promise to become everything you were meant to be, even when no one's watching, even when it's hard, even when it feels like nothing's working, because maybe nothing's working, because everything is working within you. Let that be enough for today. Some pain doesn't come from being alone. It comes from being surrounded by people and still feeling unseen. That's a special kind of loneliness. And if that's where you are right now, I want to talk to you. Because I know what it feels like to sit at the table and still feel like a ghost, to laugh on cue but feel like no one hears your silence, to be loved but not fully known. You wonder, is it me? Am I too much? Or not enough? Why do I feel invisible around people who care about me? Here's the hard truth. People can love you and still not see you. They can love their idea of you. Love what you give them. Love how you make them feel. But never stop long enough to truly ask how you are, or what you need, or who you are becoming when no one's watching. And when that happens, you shrink. Quietly, slowly, unconsciously. You dim parts of yourself because they don't seem welcome. You stop sharing because you're tired of repeating yourself. You stop correcting people when they misunderstand you because what's the point? You start to disappear, in plain sight. But here's something I want you to know, deeply. You were not made to be small. You were not made to be background noise. You were not made to constantly filter yourself to stay likable. You deserve to be loved in your full form, not just the convenient parts, not just the easy-to-digest versions, not just the smiling, helpful, agreeable you, but the real you, the tender you, the layered, complex, beautiful, human you. And if no one's told you this lately, you don't have to perform to earn belonging. You don't have to shrink to fit someone else's comfort. You don't have to be low maintenance to be worthy of deep connection. You are allowed to take up space, emotionally, energetically, spiritually. You don't need louder people, you need safer ones. People who ask the second question. People who notice your energy shift. People who listen without rushing to respond. People who don't just want access to you, but want to understand you. And if you don't have those people yet, you're not broken. You're just early in your becoming. Because something sacred happens when you stop begging to be seen and start seeing yourself. You reclaim your worth. You reclaim your space. You reclaim your voice. And when that happens, you stop chasing connections that require you to vanish. You stop apologizing for your sensitivity, your passion, your voice, your standards. You start showing up as is, even if it means being misunderstood, even if it means feeling alone for a while. Because the truth is, it's better to be lonely in your truth than accepted in your performance. Let that land. So here's my invitation for you today. Stop editing yourself for rooms you've outgrown. Stop trying to be digestible to people who lack the appetite for depth. Stop confusing visibility with value. You are not invisible. Your people just haven't found your frequency yet. Or maybe you've been muting your signal for so long that even you forgot how strong your light actually is. But light, it never goes away. Even when it flickers, even when it's buried, even when no one else is paying attention, it's still there, still burning, still waiting for you to trust it again. So speak even if your voice shakes. Say the thing you've been swallowing. Write the truth you've been burying. Make the art that feels too much. Take up space, even if no one claps yet. Your existence is not a burden. It's a signal, a map, a mirror for others to wake up. You weren't made to fit in. You were made to remind others what wholeness looks like. Let them misunderstand you. Let them say you've changed. Let them drift if they only love the muted version. The right ones will hear your voice clearly even when the world gets noisy. They'll feel your heart even when your words are few. They'll choose you, not because you made yourself convenient, but because you were finally you. So, today, come back to yourself. Not the version you've trained others to accept, but the version that's been waiting, watching, longing, burning, whispering. Please don't disappear. Not again, not this time, not for them. You've been strong for too long, haven't you? You've held the pieces, held the weight, held your tongue, held space for others while no one held it for you. And now, you're tired. Not just tired, worn, weathered, weary in your soul, because being strong wasn't a choice. It was a survival skill. You didn't wake up one day and decide, I want to be the rock. You just became it. Because someone had to be. Because chaos needed a counterweight. Because falling apart wasn't an option. So, you got good at holding things together, even when you were unraveling inside. You mastered the brave face, the calm voice, the perfectly timed, I'm fine. You became the safe place for everyone else, except for you. Now, you're strong on the outside and collapsing on the inside, and no one sees it, because strong people hide their breaking points well, too well. You've learned to hold space for other people's pain, even when yours went unacknowledged. You've clapped for their healing while swallowing your hurt. You've said, I'm okay. So often you forgot how to say, I'm not. But you know what? Being the strong one doesn't mean you don't need support. It doesn't mean you don't need softness. It doesn't mean you don't need someone to finally ask, hey, who's holding you? So, if you're tired of being strong, I want you to hear this. You're allowed to put the armor down. You're allowed to not be okay. You're allowed to exhale without explaining yourself. Strength isn't pretending you're invincible. It's being honest enough to say, this is too much. And guess what? The world will not collapse if you take a break. Your worth won't disappear if you let yourself rest. People won't stop loving you if you show them the parts of you that bleed. You don't have to carry everything. Not today, not alone, not anymore. Let someone else pour into you for once. Let someone else be the anchor. And if no one around you can, let these words be that anchor. Let this breath be your reset. Let this moment be your permission. Because here's a truth you might have forgotten. You are not strong because you never break. You are strong because you know how to rebuild. Again, and again, and again. But even warriors need shelter. Even lions need to rest. Even the sun has to set. So stop waiting for someone to tell you you've earned your rest. You already have. You've earned it in every quiet sacrifice, in every unspoken battle, in every tear you swallowed to keep others comfortable. And maybe today isn't about conquering anything. Maybe today is about sitting with yourself, without pressure, without performance, without having to be on. You don't owe the world your strength every day. Sometimes what you owe yourself is grace. So, take the nap, let the dishes wait, turn your phone off, say no without guilt, let stillness do its work. You're not abandoning anyone, you're returning to yourself, and that's holy. Strong doesn't mean silent, strong doesn't mean stoic, strong doesn't mean selfless to the point of self-forgetting. Strong is knowing when to pause, and choosing to. Anyway, this is not the end of you. This is the soft chapter, the healing chapter, the lay down your sword chapter, the remember who you are when you're not performing chapter. And it's just as powerful as every fight you've ever won. So rest, strong one. Cry if you need to. Break down if you must. Fall into softness and know it will hold you. Because strength is not your only identity. You're also joy, and softness, and vulnerability, and humanity. And that's beautiful too. You blinked, and years went by. You look around and it feels like everyone else is moving forward, checking boxes, hitting milestones, posting highlight reels while you're just trying to keep up. You wonder, did I miss something? Was I supposed to be further by now? Why does life feel like a movie I'm watching from the outside? You're not alone in that feeling. So many people walk through life feeling like spectators instead of participants, going through the motions, hustling through the days, numbing through the nights, telling themselves, I'll be present later. I'll enjoy life after I achieve X. I'll slow down when it makes sense. But what if it never does? What if life keeps sprinting ahead while you keep waiting for a more convenient moment to live it? Here's the truth you don't want to hear, but might need to. Life isn't passing you by. You're just not inside it fully. Because somewhere along the way, you started surviving instead of living, existing instead of experiencing, counting days instead of feeling them. And it's not your fault. This world is engineered to pull you out of the present, the pressure to achieve, the fear of missing out. The noise of comparison, the constant, endless scroll. It all creates this illusion that you're falling behind when, in reality, you've just forgotten how to be here. So, let's come back, right now, right here, to this breath, to this moment, to your life. Not the version you wish you had, not the one someone else is living, but this one, imperfect, in progress, still yours. Look up from the screen, feel your feet on the ground, place your hand on your heart. That beating, that's time, that's presence, that's proof that you're still in it, still alive, still invited. Maybe you forgot how to feel wonder. Maybe you haven't laughed from your gut in a while. Maybe joy feels like a memory instead of something available now. That's okay. Joy is patient. So is presence. So is purpose. They don't abandon you just because you stopped paying attention. They wait, right here, right now. So, if life feels like it's moving without you, slow down. Not everything beautiful has to be chased. Some things only reveal themselves when you sit still long enough to actually notice them. Like the way sunlight dances through curtains, or how your favorite song hits different when you actually listen, or how deeply someone cares when you really let yourself receive it. You're not behind, you're just distant. And distance can be closed with intention, with awareness, with one brave decision to stop rushing and return. Return to your body. Return to your values. Return to the parts of you that feel most like home. Start small. Step outside without your phone. Take a deep breath before your first sip of coffee. Notice how your chest rises when you laugh. Call someone you've been meaning to call. Not to say anything profound, but just to connect. This is how you come back to a life you forgot to live. And listen, you don't have to make every moment magical. That's not the point. The goal isn't constant ecstasy. It's consistent presence. To actually taste your food, to hear your own thoughts, to make eye contact with the people you love, to feel what you're feeling instead of bypassing it, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's messy. Because the truth is, a meaningful life isn't built through milestones. It's built through moments, tiny, sacred moments that accumulate quietly until one day you realize you didn't just witness your life, you lived it. So, if you feel like life is passing you by, grab one moment today and make it yours. Not for Instagram, not for anyone else, but for the part of you that's starving to feel alive again. Watch the sky, take the scenic route, say the vulnerable thing, let the tears come if they need to. Let the joy come too. You haven't missed your life. You've just been busy surviving, but you're allowed to live now, not later. Not after everything's perfect. Not once the checklist is done. Now, you used to know, or at least you thought you did. You had plans, a timeline, some kind of path. Maybe it wasn't perfect, but it felt like something. Now, you're not sure what any of it means. You wake up, go through the motions, check the boxes, and still feel like you're walking through fog. It's not that you're lazy, or ungrateful, or dramatic. You're just disconnected from your why, from your fire, from yourself. And when people ask how you're doing, you smile and say the usual, I'm fine, just tired, a little burnt out, that's all. But it's more than that, isn't it? It's not just exhaustion, it's existential. Because deep down, you're asking questions you're too afraid to say out loud. What's the point? Why does everything feel so empty? What am I even working toward anymore? You're not alone in this. Most people feel lost long before they find what's real. And the truth is, feeling lost is often the first sign that you're finally waking up. You've outgrown something, some old story, some old strategy, some old identity. But the new one hasn't formed yet. That space in between, it's uncomfortable, it's terrifying, it's necessary. So, if you don't know what you're doing anymore, good. It means you're no longer sleepwalking. It means you've stopped blindly chasing what doesn't fit. It means you've paused long enough to hear your inner voice say something radical. This isn't it. That voice, that's not failure. That's truth. That's growth. That's you refusing to settle. So, what do you do when you don't know what to do? You get quiet. You slow down. You let the noise die so the deeper voice inside can finally be heard. The one that doesn't speak in goals or metrics or job titles or validation, but speaks in alignment, in peace, in energy, in knowing. It's okay if you don't have a 5-year plan, or even a 5-day plan. What matters right now is getting honest. What feels dead? What feels forced? What feels like it's just no longer you? Start there. Let what's false fall away. Let what's heavy be set down. You don't need all the answers. You just need to ask better questions. Not, what should I do? But, what actually feels true? Not, how do I catch up? But, what do I want to come home to? And no, you don't need to burn your life down. You don't need to quit everything overnight. But you do need to listen to what your soul is quietly asking for. More. Not more productivity. Not more money. Not more approval. More meaning. More alignment. More truth. Even if you have to rebuild slowly. Even if you have to start from scratch. Even if no one else understands your shift. That's okay. You weren't born to follow a script. You were born to live a story. And sometimes the best stories don't start with clarity. They start with confusion, curiosity, a quiet rebellion against should. So, here's your permission. Pause the performance. Drop the mask. Stop pretending you're on track. If the track no longer feels like yours, and instead, let yourself explore, let yourself question, let yourself wonder again. That's where real direction is born. You don't need certainty. You need courage to sit in the not knowing without rushing into the next label. You're not behind, you're becoming. And becoming always feels messy before it feels meaningful. If no one's told you this, it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to shift paths. It's okay to say, this no longer fits who I am. That's not weakness, that's evolution. So for now, don't force the answer. Create the space, walk slowly. Notice what pulls you in. Notice what drains you. Follow the energy, follow the peace. Follow the quiet nudges that say, this feels like life. Because you may not know what you're doing right now, but deep down, you do know who you're becoming. Trust that. Remember when you used to feel on fire? When you woke up with purpose? When your heart beat faster, thinking about what you were building? When you believed that what you did actually mattered? Where did that version of you go? Now, mornings feel heavier. Ideas feel distant. Excitement feels like a stranger. You scroll, numb. You show up, hollow. You push through, disconnected. It's not burnout from working too hard. It's burnout from not feeling anything anymore. And here's the scary part. You're still functioning, still delivering, still meeting expectations, which means no one suspects that your inner fire has dimmed. But you know, you feel the difference. You feel the loss. You used to create with energy. Now you manufacture motivation like it's a job in itself. You used to dream in color. Now, everything looks grayscale. You try to remember what lit you up before, but even that feels blurry. Here's what most people get wrong. Losing your spark doesn't mean you've failed. It doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean it's over. It means you're evolving. And your fire? It just needs a new fuel. The thing that once drove you might not fit the person you've become. And that's okay. We outgrow passions, we shift identities, we change lenses. What mattered deeply before might not land the same now. It's not loss, it's realignment. But to realign, you have to be honest. Ask yourself, what still excites me, even quietly? What makes me lose track of time? What would I explore if no one was watching? The answers might surprise you. Maybe you've been doing the right things for the wrong reasons. Maybe you've been chasing what's safe instead of what's alive. Maybe you've been performing a version of success that was never really yours. And now, you feel it. That ache, that pull, that internal whisper that says, there has to be more than this. Good news? There is. But you won't find it by grinding harder. You'll find it by coming back to the why. Why did you start in the first place? What was the heartbeat under the ambition? The soul under the structure? The childlike wonder under the deadlines? Start there. Because spark isn't something the world hands you. It's something you protect, rekindle, choose again and again. And sometimes, you have to rebuild the fire from ashes. Not because it burned out completely, but because you've changed and so must the flame. Let it look different this time. Smaller, maybe, but steadier, more honest, less performative. Let it be about meaning, not metrics. About joy, not just impact. About presence, not just productivity. And if the spark doesn't come back right away, that's okay. Give it time. Give it space. Give it room to breathe. Sometimes it's not about lighting a fire, but clearing the debris around it, clearing the shoulds, the shame, the comparisons, the self-judgment. Because beneath all that, you still burn. You always have, even in the dark, even in the numbness, even in the silence. Your soul hasn't left you. It's just been waiting for you to slow down long enough to listen. So, today do one thing that feels like life. Not obligation, not survival, not checking another box, just life. Go outside. Call someone who makes you laugh. Dance to your favorite song from 10 years ago. Sketch, sing, walk, breathe. Whatever reminds you that you're more than your roles, more than your calendar, more than your results. You're a being, not just a doer. And sometimes the spark returns in the most unexpected ways, in the smallest joys, in the softest moments, in the brave decision to stop pushing and start feeling again. That's how fire returns, not with a bang, but with a flicker. So, don't panic if the old spark feels gone. You're not empty. You're just on the edge of rediscovery. And what you find this time might be better than what you lost. Because this fire, it won't just burn, it will sustain. You're doing the work, you're showing up, you're checking the boxes, you're staying committed. But still, it feels like everyone is moving faster, doing more, achieving something. And you feel like you're always catching up. Like no matter how much you push, the finish line keeps moving. Like no matter how many wins you collect, they somehow don't count. And deep down, there's this quiet, aching question you're too tired to keep asking. Am I falling behind in life? Let me say this plainly. No, you're not. You're not behind. You're on your timeline, not theirs, not society's, not some imaginary scoreboard you made up in your head based on someone else's Instagram. Progress doesn't always look like motion. Growth doesn't always look like milestones. Sometimes showing up is the most radical thing you can do, especially when you're not seeing results, especially when motivation is thin, especially when no one's cheering, you are still moving, even when it doesn't feel like it. But let's get real for a moment. The reason you feel behind isn't just comparison, it's expectation. You thought you'd be somewhere else by now. You thought things would be easier. You thought certain boxes would be checked. And when they're not, it feels like failure, even if you're doing everything right. But what if the problem isn't your pace? What if it's the measurement? You're using someone else's ruler to measure your life, and that's why nothing feels enough. So, pause. Ask yourself, who told me I needed to be married by 30? Who said my career should peak by now? Who convinced me that healing had a deadline? None of that came from you. It was planted by culture, by systems, by other people's insecurities. And now it's blooming as pressure you never asked for. Let it go. You're not a project to be completed. You're a life to be lived. And sometimes living looks like waiting, like learning, like rebuilding, like pausing to catch your breath before the next climb. None of that means you're falling behind. It means you're moving with intention. Listen, you don't have to rush to prove you're worthy. You don't have to hustle to earn a seat at the table. You don't need permission to evolve at your own pace. The world will keep telling you to go faster, but healing says, go deeper. purpose says, go truer. Your soul says, go home to yourself. The people you admire, they've had seasons of stillness too. They've had days where the only win was not quitting, but no one posts that part. They just show the highlight. And you compare it to your behind the scenes. Of course you feel behind. Here's what I want you to remember. Progress is happening even when it's invisible, even when it's quiet, even when no one sees it but you. That boundary you set, that's growth. That morning you got out of bed when anxiety said not to, that's resilience. That moment you chose self-compassion instead of self-punishment, that's evolution. So stop asking, am I where I'm supposed to be? And start asking, am I honoring who I'm becoming? That's the real question. That's the one that leads you forward with grace instead of shame. You're not late. You're not lazy. You're not lost. You're becoming. In your own way, in your own time. And you don't have to explain that to anyone. So, if today all you did was show up, that counts. If all you did was breathe through the doubt, that counts. If all you did was not give up on yourself, that counts. The scoreboard is fake. The timeline is made up. The only metric that matters is this. Are you choosing yourself again and again, even when it's hard? If the answer is yes, then you are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. You look in the mirror and don't recognize who's looking back. Not because your face has changed, but because something deeper has faded. The spark, the fire, the you-ness that once felt so certain. And now, you feel like a stranger in your own life. You're still functioning, still showing up, still smiling in the photos, but behind the eyes, something feels off, muted, disconnected. Almost like you're watching life from outside yourself, like your soul left a sticky note, be back soon, and never returned. And it's scary, isn't it? This feeling of drifting from yourself, of wondering, who even am I anymore? Where did I go? Will I ever feel like me again? Let me say this. You're not broken. You're not too far gone. You haven't lost yourself. You've just been buried beneath expectations, responsibilities, roles, grief, burnout, survival. See, no one teaches us how to hold on to ourselves when life starts pulling in every direction. You give a little here, you compromise there, you adjust, you adapt, you keep peace, you please, you perform. Until one day, you look up and realize, I've disappeared from my own life. It didn't happen all at once. It never does. You disappeared one I'm fine at a time, one boundary crossed, one need ignored, one version of you silenced so someone else could feel comfortable. But now your soul is knocking, gently but firmly. Hey, I miss you. Come back. And here's the good news. If you feel the distance, you can still close it. The bridge back to yourself was never burned, just forgotten. And it starts with remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Ask yourself, when do I feel most alive? What used to light me up? What have I stopped doing that I used to love? Where did I last feel like me? Write it down, speak it out, trace your way back, not to a past version, but to the essence that's always been there, waiting, quietly, patiently. Maybe you used to write, or dance, or building, or create things just for fun. Maybe you used to laugh louder, feel deeper, love more openly. Maybe you've been too exhausted to even remember what brought you joy. That's okay. Because today, you don't need to return in full. You just need to reach. Just do one small thing that reminds you of you. Not the polished you. Not the high-achieving you. Not the perfectly curated brand of you. Just the real you. The soft, messy, curious, bold, weird, wild, warm, honest you. Even if no one else sees it. Even if no one else gets it. This moment is not for them. It's for you. Go sit in silence. Put on that song. Wear what makes you feel alive. Dance in your kitchen. Say no without guilt. Say yes to what pulls your soul forward. This is your rebellion, your return, your reclaiming. You don't need permission to be yourself again. You never did. But I'm giving it to you anyway, in case you forgot. You're allowed to outgrow the old version. You're allowed to mourn the spark and also rebuild it. You're allowed to feel lost and still trust you're on the right path. Because the truth is, you never really lost yourself. You just stopped listening. And now, you're listening again, That's the first step back. So, no, you're not the same. But maybe that's the point. Maybe this version is braver, wiser, more tender, more awake, more real. You don't need to rush this. You don't need to find yourself like a missing item. You get to choose yourself one honest moment at a time, and each time you do, you come home. You've been holding it together for so long, you forgot what it feels like to fall apart, safely, to breathe without bracing, to rest without guilt, to say, I'm not okay, without needing to explain yourself. You've become so good at being the strong one, the steady one, the responsible one, that no one notices how tired you are, how close you are to breaking in the places you've kept sealed for far too long. And still, you keep showing up, for work, for family, for friends, for people who don't even ask how you're really doing. You hold their stress, their secrets, their messes, and quietly wonder, where do I go with mine? Here's the truth. You were never meant to carry all of this alone. You were never designed to be the container for everyone else's chaos while pretending yours doesn't exist. And yet, here you are, worn, stretched, fractured beneath the surface, but still holding it together. You tell yourself, if I let go, everything might fall apart. But what if that's not true? What if letting go isn't destruction, but liberation? What if falling apart is how you finally come back to yourself? No one told you that strength can be suffocating, that being the glue can feel like being stuck in everyone's expectations and no one's care. That being resilient can also be a way of saying, I don't get to rest. But I'm here to remind you, you are allowed to unravel. You are allowed to say, this is too much. You are allowed to take off the cape and admit you're human, not a superhero. It doesn't make you weak, it makes you real. And realness is where the healing begins. You don't have to collapse in public. You don't have to announce your breakdown. You can simply pause, step away, breathe, create space. Let the tears come in your car, in your shower, in the quiet corners of the day where no one's watching but you. Those moments, they matter. They're sacred. They're honest. They're where the weight starts to lift, because you're no longer pretending it's not heavy. Let someone hold you for a change. Let support in. Let softness find you. Let the people who love you see the parts of you you usually hide. They won't think less of you. They'll finally see all of you. You were never meant to perform your strength. You were meant to live your truth. And sometimes that truth sounds like, I'm exhausted. I can't do this alone. I need help. I need rest. I don't want to hold it together anymore. Here's a radical idea. Maybe your life won't fall apart if you stop holding it so tightly. Maybe it will fall into place. Maybe the pieces that need to leave will, and the ones that are meant to stay will show up once you finally make room. You don't need to carry it all. Just carry what's yours. Let the rest go. Let people take responsibility for their own healing. Let life breathe without you micromanaging its every detail. You don't have to be everything to everyone. You just have to be enough for yourself. That's more than enough. So, here's your permission to rest, to not answer every call, to not fix what isn't yours, to let the dishes wait, to let the text go unanswered, to let silence speak when words are too heavy. You're not here to hold it all together. You're here to live, to feel, to break and rebuild, to rest and rise. You're here to be whole, not always held together. And wholeness sometimes looks like falling apart and trusting you'll return stronger, softer, more you. So let go. Let it fall. Let yourself feel. And when you're ready, pick up only what matters, only what aligns, only what fits the next version of you. You're tired of acting, aren't you? Tired of smiling when your chest feels heavy. Tired of saying, I'm okay, when you're anything but. Tired of performing stability while quietly unraveling. It's exhausting, isn't it? Holding up a version of yourself the world expects to see, while burying the one who's actually living inside. You've become a master at looking composed, calm, capable. But the truth? You're screaming on the inside. And no one hears it because you've made it look so convincing on the outside. You keep telling yourself, I just need to get through this week. Once I finish this project, I'll be okay. It's just a rough patch. I'll bounce back. But deep down, you know that's not it. This isn't just a bad week or a dip in motivation. This is the weight of everything you've been holding in, and it's starting to leak through the cracks. Let me tell you something. No one says out loud enough. It's okay to stop pretending. Not everything has to be fine. Not every day needs to be productive. Not every moment needs to be optimized. You don't need to keep the illusion alive to be loved. You don't need to hide your cracks to be accepted. Because real connection, real peace, they don't live in the performance. They live in the truth, even when it's messy, even when it's heavy, even when it's hard to speak out loud. There is deep power in admitting, I'm struggling. I feel empty. I don't know who I am right now. I can't keep pretending. That's not weakness, that's courage. That's the moment your healing begins. You see, the longer you pretend, the further you drift from yourself, from others, from the life that could be yours if you just let the act drop. You don't need to be the strong one all the time. You don't need to be the inspiration. You don't need to be the one who always has it together. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to fall apart in front of someone you trust. So, take off the mask, even just for a moment. You're allowed to be human here, raw, unfiltered, real. You don't have to smile. You don't have to explain. You don't have to make it palatable. Just let it be what it is. The world won't end because you told the truth. In fact, the world might begin to feel real again, because you'll finally be in it as your whole self, not just the polished parts. Start with someone safe, or write it down, or whisper it in the dark to the ceiling. Anything that sets the truth free from the prison of performance. You owe yourself that much. And listen, not everyone will get it. Some people are addicted to your mask. They've gotten used to the curated version of you. And when you show them something real, they might flinch. They might pull away. They might not know what to do with it. But others, the right ones, they'll lean in. They'll hold space. They'll say, me too. That's how healing starts. Not with perfection, but with permission. To be where you are. To feel what you feel. To drop the act and come back to truth. So, if you can't keep pretending anymore, don't. Let the tears come. Let the words spill. Let the mask crack open and reveal the softness underneath. That softness, it's not weakness, it's life. You are not a brand, you are not a character, you are not a motivational quote or a highlight reel. You are a full, breathing, hurting, healing human being. And that is more than enough. So here's your invitation. Fall apart. Let go. Be held. Be seen. You've been carrying the weight of fine for far too long. And maybe it's time to carry truth instead. You ever look back at old pictures and wonder, who was that person? The one who laughed without overthinking, who dreamed loud, who said yes before fear could answer first. You miss them, don't you? The version of you before the world got so heavy. Before you lost so many pieces of yourself just trying to make it through. It's not nostalgia, it's grief. Grief for a self you didn't realize you were losing until it was already gone. And now you're left with an ache that doesn't quite have a name, just a longing, a quiet echo of, I used to feel more alive. And sometimes that ache turns into self-blame. What happened to me? Why can't I be like I used to? Where did my energy go? My spark? My joy? But that voice? It's not asking to go back. It's asking to come home. You see, you didn't lose that version of you because you failed. You lost them because life got complicated. Because survival took priority over soul. Because responsibility buried spontaneity. Because pain changed the way you walked through the world. But here's the truth no one talks about. The version of you miss, they're still there. Not gone, just quieter. Waiting. Hoping you'll slow down enough to notice. They've been with you all along. You didn't lose your joy. It just got layered. Beneath grief, beneath burnout, beneath all the times you said yes when your soul was begging you to say no. But it's still in you. That old laugh, that light. That part of you who danced barefoot and believed anything was possible. You don't need to become them again. You've grown. You've evolved. You're wiser now. Softer in the right places. Stronger in the others. But you can bring them with you into who you are now. Start small. Ask yourself, what did I used to love that I've stopped doing? What made me feel alive that I now label as unproductive? What parts of my old self feel worth reviving? Let the answers come gently. Don't force them. Don't judge them. Just listen. Because that's all your soul has wanted this whole time, to be heard again. Maybe it's music, or creating, or wandering without a plan. Maybe it's being around certain people who remind you who you are. Beneath the performance, go toward those things. Let them reintroduce you to yourself, and be patient. This isn't about going back in time, it's about remembering forward, about integrating the pieces you loved into the person you are now, more real, more awake, more you. Because you're not supposed to feel like you used to. You've lived through things that changed you, things that deserve to be acknowledged, grieved, honored. You've survived heartbreak, transitions, setbacks, losses no one even knows about. Of course you feel different. How could you not? But different doesn't mean worse. It means you've adapted. And now, you get to choose what comes with you and what doesn't. You get to rebuild with intention this time. You can be both, the dreamer and the realist, the soft-hearted and the boundary setter, the past you and the present you, working together instead of pretending they're strangers. Here's a secret. The parts of you that feel missing are often the ones that show up the moment you stop proving and start feeling. So let the walls down, let the pressure drop. Let your old self sit beside the current you and say, "You didn't lose me. You just got too busy surviving to notice I was still here." You're allowed to miss yourself. You're also allowed to meet yourself again, with grace, with love, without rushing. That's how you come home, one honest moment at a time. There are days you feel like you're doing it all wrong, like you're disappointing everyone, falling short of expectations, letting things slip through the cracks you swore you'd keep together. And the worst part, you can't tell if you're exhausted because you've done too much, or because you feel like you've done nothing that matters. You try, you care, you show up, but it still feels like not enough, not kind enough, not productive enough, not present enough, not grateful enough, not together enough. And beneath it all, that old familiar whisper returns, maybe I'm just bad at this. Maybe I'm failing at being human. But here's the truth no one tells you. Being human isn't something you can fail at. It's not a performance. It's not a checklist. It's not a test you're supposed to ace. It's messy. It's non-linear. It's full of contradictions. And sometimes it's just hard. You weren't designed to be perfect. You weren't meant to handle everything with grace. You weren't built to feel happy all the time. You were meant to feel, to try, to fall, to learn, to get back up, to get it wrong, to grow. The people who look like they have it all together, they're struggling too. They just hide it better, smile better, package it better for the outside world. But inside, they're questioning, doubting, wondering if they're doing any of this right, just like you. So, when you feel like you're failing, pause. Ask yourself, whose definition of success am I using to judge myself right now? Because chances are, it's not your own. It's society's, your parents', your past selves. Some influencers filtered reality, not you. And that voice in your head, the one telling you you're behind, you're broken, you're not enough, that's not truth. That's shame. Wearing a convincing costume. You don't have to listen to it. You don't have to prove anything today. Let's redefine what being human means. It means getting tired, and being irritable, and needing more time than usual. It means caring too much, and then going numb. It means forgetting to reply, and then feeling guilty for days. It means crying over small things because big things have been waiting too long to be felt. Being human means sometimes you love yourself, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you show up fully, and sometimes you disappear just to survive the week. It means some mornings you wake up inspired, and others you can barely lift your head off the pillow. Both are valid. Both are you. You are not failing. You are feeling. And feelings aren't flaws. They're evidence that you're alive, that you still care, that you haven't gone cold. And that matters. So, take a breath, unclench your jaw, unfold your shoulders, loosen the grip on your expectations. You're allowed to be a work in progress. You're allowed to have days that don't look like growth, but are. Even if all you did was get through it, that counts. You don't have to earn your rest. You don't have to justify your emotions. You don't have to fix everything just to feel worthy of love. You already are. And if no one's told you today, you're not too much. You're not falling behind. You're not doing it wrong. You are human, fully, beautifully, exhaustingly human. And that's not a problem to solve. That's a miracle to hold. The next time that thought creeps in, I'm failing at life, Replace it with this: I'm learning how to live. I'm learning how to love myself through the mess. I'm not failing, I'm feeling, and that's brave. You've made it through every hard thing so far. You'll make it through this too. Not because you're perfect, but because you're real, and real always finds a way. There comes a moment when the path ahead goes quiet. No signs, no clarity, no next obvious step, just stillness, and a strange mix of hope and fear twisting quietly in your chest. You've done the things, checked the boxes, tried the plans, played the roles, and now you're standing at the edge of what was, with no map for what will be. It's terrifying, and weirdly, a little beautiful, because when nothing is certain, everything is possible. But possibility doesn't always feel exciting. Sometimes it feels like fog, like doubt, like floating with no anchor. You ask yourself, what now? Where do I go from here? What if I choose wrong? What if I stay stuck forever? That voice feels so loud in the silence of the unknown. But let me offer this. You're not stuck. You're becoming. The space you're in right now, it's not failure. It's not a dead end. It's a threshold, a sacred pause between chapters, one that asks you not to force the next step, but to listen for it. You see, our culture loves momentum, clarity, 5-year plans, action steps, hustle, but transformation, real, honest growth, it usually begins in the quiet, in the slow, in the I don't know yet. This is where the seeds are planted, in uncertainty, in rest, in discomfort. You don't need to figure it out. You need to stay present long enough for the fog to lift on its own. Yes, that's uncomfortable. Yes, your brain will scream for answers. Yes, people around you may not understand why you're not doing more. But clarity doesn't always come through action. Sometimes it comes through alignment, through reconnecting with who you are before deciding where you're going. So, if you don't know what's next, it's okay. Breathe here, feel here. Grieve here if you need to. You are not behind, you are not lost. You are on sacred ground. Try this. Instead of asking, what's next? Ask, what feels true right now? What do I need today? Where is life gently tugging me? These questions don't demand control, they invite curiosity. And that's where direction begins. Sometimes life doesn't give you answers. It gives you questions that peel back the layers and return you to yourself. And once you meet yourself again, you won't need a map, because you'll become the compass. So let go of the pressure to figure it all out today. You're allowed to move slowly, to experiment, to take the wrong turn and discover the right thing anyway. This is not a race, it's a becoming. And becoming doesn't happen on a schedule. You are allowed to rest before you rise. You are allowed to feel unsure before you feel aligned. You are allowed to move in small, strange, imperfect steps that don't make sense to anyone but you. Because this is your life, your rhythm, your becoming. And maybe what's next isn't a thing you do. Maybe it's a way you be. Maybe what's next is gentleness, is healing, is softness after years of striving. Maybe what's next is letting go of everything that no longer fits so you have space for what finally does. You don't need the whole road. Just the next breath, the next step, the next moment of truth. That's enough. And if you still don't know, that's still enough, because you're still showing up. And that's what matters. So take this in. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are in the space between who you were and who you're becoming. And that space is sacred. When the fog clears, you'll move. When your heart says yes, you'll know. And when you arrive, wherever that is, you'll realize you never needed to have it all figured out. You just needed to keep listening. So, if you don't know what comes next, that's okay. Because maybe what's next is already finding you. And maybe it's going to be better than anything you planned.